Coming up this Tuesday morning edition of DITV, I take an in-depth look at a UI student who was threatened with deportation earlier this year.
And later, rocket mania surrounds an upcoming spaceflight.
Forward to improving the vehicle so that we can put larger assets deeper into space. Maybe we can go back to the moon and do some science there. So I think the Falcon 9 Heavy, if they're successful, opens all sorts of doors for exciting science in the future.
We hear from Coach Fran McCaffrey before Iowa faces one of the top teams in the country, and I take a closer look at one wrestler's senior day.
Yesterday we saw a lot of snow. Unfortunately, we won't be putting our coats away just yet.
All that and more coming your way on this snow-filled Tuesday morning.
Don't change that channel. DITV starts now. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Christopher Cervantes.
And I'm Alexis Tanzi. Former Team USA gymnastics doctor Larry Nasser is sentenced to another 40 to 125 years in prison. On Monday, a decision was made by a Michigan judge after Nasser was accused of molesting nearly 265 girls and women. This sentence adds on to the 60 years Nasser received for possession of child pornography and the 40 to 175 years he has already received regarding the gymnastics sex assault case.
Today, the suspect in the August pedestrian mall shooting will be back in court. The jury will decide if Lamarr Wilson is guilty of first-degree murder amongst several other charges. Last Friday, the jury did not come to a conclusion after 4 hours of deliberation. If found guilty of first-degree murder, Wilson could face life in prison.
The U.S. immigration system has been getting a lot of attention lately because of the changes the Trump administration has been thinking about making to DACA, TPS, and other policies. But to one UI student, these are more than just policies. I was able to go behind the scenes with senior Mansour Shakali to learn about his struggle to stay in the U.S. At 16 years old, most of us were worried about passing our driver's test. But UI senior Mansour Shakali had a little bit more to worry about.
When I was 16, the revolution broke out in Syria.
Shakali grew up in Damascus, Syria, when what started out as peaceful protests turned into a violent revolution.
I was starting to be increasingly targeted by the government because of my activities with the revolution.
Shakali fled to the United States to get away from the war and moved in with his brother in Des Moines. He was able to get a student visa and then applied for political asylum, which is for people who feel their government poses a legitimate threat. The decision on that status is still pending. The government granted Shakali temporary protected status, or TPS, which stays valid for 18 months. Shakali's TPS was set to expire in March, but the government is required to make a decision on renewal 60 days before its expiration.
And it was a pretty stressful couple of weeks. It was exhausting in general, just the idea of having to deal with what's going to happen, because I really didn't know what was going to happen.
On January 31st, the government decided to renew Mansour Shakali's temporary protected status, allowing him to stay in the country for another 18 months.
It was a weight lifted off my shoulder when I found out that it got renewed.
Shakali is already looking into other options if his TPS does not get renewed in 18 months. All he knows is that going back to Syria is not an option.
Well, I'm not completely sure what the future after 18 months looks like.
Shakali will be graduating in May and attending UI School of Dentistry in the fall.
A deadly car crash occurred yesterday in Ames, Iowa on I-35. The crash involved 50 to 70 cars, leaving 1 dead and 50 others in critical condition. Also involved in the crash was a Dancing with the Stars tour bus. The bus was transporting the cast and crew of Dancing with the Stars Live. All cast and crew were fine, with some recovering with minor injuries. With concerns for the safety of the performers and crew, the performance in Ames was canceled. This 70-car pileup was the worst the Story County Sheriff's Department has ever seen. Many university students on Monday were delighted to find some classes canceled, while others were not. So what qualifies for classes to be canceled campus-wide? According to the University of Iowa, classes will still be in session during extreme weather conditions if students and faculty are able to travel to campus and attend classes. The university does warn that during extreme weather, students, faculty, and staff should use good judgment to avoid serious risks when traveling to campus. In that situation,
Classes are canceled campus-wide. A hawk alert will be sent out, updates on the university webpage will be available, and a mass email will be sent out to students, faculty, and staff. Well, Chris, I for one would not be upset to see classes canceled in this horrific weather. I do not like walking to class with snow up to my knees.
Oh, neither do I, Alexis. It is positively snowmageddon out there right now, and hopefully, almost immediately, there will be a change in the weather. Let's toss it over to Maxwell in the weather studio just to make sure.
Yesterday was blistering cold with heavy snow due to a low-pressure system coming through the Midwest. This morning, the temperature is 0 degrees, but it feels like -10 due to wind chill. Later today, we will be experiencing partly cloudy conditions with temperatures rising to 18 degrees. There is a likely chance that we will be experiencing snow tonight. Now, let's head over to our 5-day forecast. Wednesday, we will be experiencing partly cloudy conditions with temperatures rising to the high teens and falling above 5 degrees. Thursday, we will be experiencing afternoon snow showers with temperatures rising to the high 20s and falling to the low teens. Friday, we will be experiencing cloudy conditions with temperatures rising to the mid-teens and falling to around 5 degrees. Saturday, we will be experiencing light snow with temperatures ranging from low 20s to slightly above 0. Sunday will be partly cloudy with temperatures ranging from the mid-teens to slightly below freezing. It seems like winter isn't over yet, but bundle up, Iowa City. Now let's head back to the desk.
Thanks, Maxwell. One of the greatest space flights man has ever embarked on will take place this afternoon. DITV News reporter Gustavo Mayer has more.
50-50. That's the chance of success for the Falcon Heavy. It's the most powerful rocket in the world. Its purpose? Simple. It will carry humans into space and would enable crewed missions to the moon and Mars.
In 2013, one of the instruments that I worked on a spacecraft called Cassiope EPOP was launched into orbit on the first flight of the enhanced Falcon 9. So the Falcon 9 Heavy is basically 3 Falcon 9s tied together.
SpaceX CEO Elon Musk is giddy about the launch today and has low expectations. Many are skeptical of SpaceX's reusable rocket technology being able to reach Mars. It has been very challenging, but SpaceX has proven they have the perseverance to keep trying. Its variant, the Falcon 9, has shown the capability of putting hardware into orbit in competition with the government-owned United Launch Alliance. Musk will also send a red Tesla Roadster in the cargo of the ship. After the booster separation, it will attempt to land on a drone ship in the Atlantic Ocean.
If you engineer it carefully enough, it should work every time. I mean, we know the principles of rocket operation.
The Falcon Heavy, if successful, opens all sorts of exciting doors for science. The cargo may also carry satellites in future launches. The launch will take place today from 1:30 to 4 p.m. You could witness the Falcon Heavy take flight on SpaceX.com. Reporting from Van Allen Hall, this is Gustavo Mayer, DITV News.
Thanks, Gustavo. And let me tell you, big news in the world of technology. But I hear that there are some Hawkeyes reaching for the stars as well.
That's right, Chris. We'll have to see how the Hawks do in their basketball game tonight. Let's toss it over to Bo in the sports studio to find out more.
That's right, guys. Iowa taking on Michigan State tonight following getting blown out on the road against Penn State this past weekend. Iowa will be back in action tonight against the 5th-ranked Spartans in Carver. Here's what head coach Fran McCaffrey had to say on tonight's game.
You know, we got our hands full with a team that's, you know, one of the best teams in the country. They've got, you know, multiple pros, and they defend, they share the ball, they run, they're big and physical, and they're deep. So we got to get them ready. You know, we got to play better than we played the other night. We have to execute better offensively than we did the other night.
Now, along with that, starting point guard Jordan Bohannon is listed questionable for tonight's game due to illness. Last week, we previewed Iowa Wrestling's, well, more specifically, Brandon Sorensen's senior day, and I was lucky enough to be in attendance and watch the true Hawkeye compete one last time in Carver Hawkeye Arena.
On Friday against Minnesota, Brandon Sorensen got the meet started at 149 pounds after taking a 6-2 lead in the first period. Then he sealed the deal with the second period pin.
You know, I went out there, I was moving good, got to where I wanted, ended up how I wanted it, so just keep it that way.
When he's wrestling like he's been wrestling and it's fast, we like how his scoring goes right through the roof.
Then on Sunday, the Hawks hosted Northwestern, where Sorensen faced a tougher task against number 5 Ryan Deacon. Tied 4-4 at the end of regulation, Sorensen and Deacon went into overtime, where Sorensen won after Deacon was called for technical violation. After the meet and senior day festivities, Coach Brands spoke on Sorensen's importance to the team.
He is what we want our guys to be. He puts his head down, he goes to work every day, and there's been zero distraction with him. And when I say zero, I mean zero.
And now with senior day out of the way, it's time to get down to business. With a big meet against Penn State this Saturday and the Big Ten and national tournaments right around the corner, Sorensen is focused on every little detail.
Little things, hitting crisp, clean shots, getting that corner, no wrists on bottom, coming up right away and putting on a tough ride.
Like I said, Iowa will travel to State College this Saturday to take on the #1 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. Should be a good meet. The men's gymnastics programs now hosted the 4th best team in the country this weekend when the University of Illinois came to compete in Carver. DITV Sports' Nicole Tomasic tells us more on a major change that the program has made this season.
This past weekend, the Hawkeyes experienced a tough loss against the Fighting Illini. The Hawkeyes maintained their positive attitude to help their teammates stay confident when trying to get those high scores.
So our biggest thing obviously is building team culture and making sure that they're well bonded, and that's coming out on the floor when we have great days, when we have struggling days. They're staying together as a unit, and that's been something that we've been really stressing in practice in the fall, in the summertime, and heading into the season, and we're seeing that come to fruition as they're out here competing together.
Senior captains Dylan Ellsworth and Austin Hodges are changing the dynamic of how the team operates, with trying to have a more encouraging attitude so it can lead to further successful outcomes.
Iowa as a team has not really had a positive attitude throughout a meet, since I've been here at least, for years. And so my goal as team captain and Austin's was to really make sure the team was involved throughout the meet, no matter what happens. If someone falls, you smile and you get off the event. You don't frown and get upset, which is hard, it's really hard. So we're doing a really good job at that.
The leadership between him and Austin Hodges has been absolutely instrumental in getting us to this next phase of where we can be really competitive with the top programs.
The Hawkeyes having a newfound attitude, there is no doubt that they will maintain those high scores in future events. Reporting from Carver Hawkeye Arena, this has been Nicole Tomasic with DITV Sports.
Next up for the Hawkeyes will be a tough road test as they'll travel to Norman, Oklahoma to face the #1 team in the country, the Oklahoma Sooners. Well, that's it for me in the sports studio. Be sure to tune in tomorrow morning for a look at highlights from the men's basketball game against Michigan State, and for a preview against the 2018 Iowa softball season. Guys at the desk, back to you.
Thanks, Bo. The Iowa State Fair has announced 2 more acts in its grandstanding lineup. County Band Old Dominion will be taking the stage August 12th, while comedian Jim Gaffigan will appear just a few days later.
Other acts performing at the State Fair this year include Reba McEntire, Sugarland, and Casting Crowns. The Iowa State Fair will take place August 9th through the 19th in Des Moines. Several other acts have yet to be announced for the grandstand lineup.
That's all we have for you on this Tuesday morning edition of DITV. Be sure to check out our website, dailyiowan.com, for all the latest news between now and Friday.
If that isn't enough for you, pick up your print edition of the Daily Iowan on stands now. For DITV, I'm Alexis Tanzi.
And I'm Christopher Cervantes. Have a good day, Iowa City, and stay warm.